Hey, welcome back to another episode of Behind the Lens. I'm just sitting here looking at the book that my next guest had put out a few years ago. The book's called 10 Frames Per Second by Sergeant Bananas. Johnny's always been a helpful hand whenever I had any questions about toy photography or the techniques that he uses. So I asked him to come into the show, sit down with me, and talk even more toy photography. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Here's Sergeant Bananas. So, thank you for joining me tonight, man. I just wanted to pick your brain real quick,
Yep.
and maybe I could pick up some tips from you and anybody that's watching and shit. And yeah. So
Yeah, for
let me
sure.
just start off by saying, again, thank you for joining me.
Mhm.
And my first question is, what inspired you to pick up a camera?
Yeah. I mean, to the short, I'll do the first answer is toys, but to kind of go a little further into that, I've said my kind of origin story. I'll make this I'll make this as quick as possible. But yeah, I've been a collector for my whole life, and then you know, it's gonna be like 10 years I think next year. But we'll say like 9 years ago or so, I got back into collecting the OG TMNT line, like the one that I collected as a kid. Most of us, if you were born in the 80s, probably had some of those figures. That was like my kind of introduction to being like an addicted collector as a kid, was that toy line and Ninja Turtles in general. So, uh, about like 9 years ago, I was just like, oh, I want to pick up some of the figures that I didn't have as a kid or some that I didn't have anymore. And so I started doing that. And around that time, I had made like an Instagram, and I was like going through hashtags like TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and stuff. And I came across toy photography one day, and I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't really understand what was going on at that time. And then a little while later, I ended up like having an idea, and I took a photo of it. Kind of like thought back, oh yeah, I saw that like photo and it looked cool, so I kind of wanted to try it. And from that day was like so pivotal in my life that like I had no idea what was gonna happen. And yeah, it was like I took a photo of that, and this is just with my phone. And ever since that day, I've continued to take photos. And along the way, I learned how to use like an actual like camera, like DSLR, and learned about like photography in general because I had no knowledge of it prior to doing any of this stuff. So
That's cool.
yeah.
So you just said you started off with your phone. What
Mhm.
was what was the first camera that you picked up when you switched over,
Mhm.
and what are you currently using now?
Yeah, so like the first camera that I was using was a Canon a 5D. It was the first 5D. It's pretty old. I actually still have it. That was a camera that I learned, how to like shoot in manual. Learned what like shutter speed does, and like aperture, and like the ISO. People say ISO or ISO. I always say ISO. Whatever. But anyways, I learned how to adjust all those things, shooting manual, so I can really like get the photo to kind of like look what I wanted it to look like. And so the Canon 5D was my first camera, and then like current day, I shoot with a Sony A7R3, a mirrorless, and yeah, I love it. I've had it for 4 years, 5 years now, 4 or 5
Yeah,
years now.
something like that. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
pre-pandemic.
it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, it's still going strong, and yeah, I love that camera. I would I would definitely like. I'll definitely stay with Sony. Like next time I buy like a new camera body, it'll be Sony.
Yeah, I remember because I bought your lens for the
That's right.
Canon,
Yeah, the
and
macro.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great lens, man. That 100 millimeter. Yeah, that's a really good lens.
So so you got the Sony now. What type of lens are you using on that camera?
Yeah, so I basically switch between just two different lenses, and one being like a 90 millimeter macro lens. So it's like it's like Sony's version of that, one that I sold to you.
Yeah,
And for the longest time, that was the only lens that I had. I didn't like when I switched over to Sony. I bought my camera, the camera body, and then I bought that lens, and that was it. I mean, it was obviously it was expensive. It wasn't like lenses. If you look at lenses, it's like they get up there.
oh
Uh,
yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm glad I got a homie hookup from you because I would have never been able to buy that lens
yeah, it's
like
like
I'm in the market because that shit was hella money.
well, that's the thing that I kind of like will say like if I'm like talking to someone about camera that wants to like get into like photography and like cameras and stuff. I'm like, get something that's like, like kind of like a entry level kit. See how you like it. If you do like it, it's like I would say like say like you start off with a Canon, right? And you really like how the Canon, like how it feels and stuff and all that. It's like then I would say like, well, maybe invest in some lenses, like go because like you could have like an entry level camera, but if you have like nice lenses, no one's ever gonna tell the. I mean, no one's gonna tell the difference anyways when you're posting on like Instagram. But like the lenses are really what like make a big difference in like the sharpness and the quality of a photo. Like you could have an old camera body, but if you have like great lenses, like you're still good.
Yeah, that's
So
that's cool. That's good to know. What are some accessories that you use, like in when you use photography and things like that?
yeah, so I use Lume Cube, a lot of Lume Cube lights. I've used them forever, basically. Like my ever since I started doing like any kind of indoor lighting, it's I've learned it with with a Lume Cube. Like I started off, I had one, and I would just like kind of go around the scene like this and see how different looks and stuff like that. And I feel like that really helped me kind of like get an understanding of like where lights should be to get the effect that I wanted to get. And so Lume Cube lights. And then I guess like I use like atmosphere aerosol as well. I think most people, if you do toy photography, you've probably heard of that. It's just like the haze in a can. It's like an
Yeah,
aerosol can, and can add some like straight up atmosphere to your photos. So I use those two things a lot. I use like I guess to kind of go a little bit further. I mean, I use wires, flight stands. Um, I have like a little like it's like a little pen thing, but it's like a mister. So like for rain, when I do any kind of like rain effect, I use that. It's pretty small, but I like that I could just I like that it's small rather than having like something big like a water bottle, like a sprayer that you have to like hold like this. It's like literally like it's like Banaka. When was the last time you
yeah.
heard someone reference Banaka?
I don't
So
even know if they still sell that.
I don't think so, but it's funny because like I remember back in like middle school, everyone was all like like just
Yeah,
all
yeah, yeah,
show. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, speaking of accessories, I remember some of your work in the past had like almost like what it looked like fire or firecrackers or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I use a lot. I used to do a lot of like firework stuff, and yeah, I would just where I live, like when Fourth of July came around, like fireworks were legal, so I would just go to like the fireworks stand and just like stock up for like the year or whatever. And I mean, I still have a good. I haven't done. I don't do it. I don't do firework shots as much these days, but I have a good stockpile for whenever the right idea comes along. Um, one other thing that I just thought about, like in terms of accessories, is like the light stands that I have. Like LumeCube has like they have like different light stands you can use to like put your lights on, like your panels or whatever. And I also use like a couple C stands, which is like something you would see in like, I don't know, like on a movie set. It's super. They kind of take up a lot of space, but it's basically like if you think of like a light stand, it has like a long rod that sticks through it, and you can attach your lights onto it. But it can like, I mean, you can. I mean, I don't know if you can see that there's one right here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like having that is so helpful because it goes across the whole table, so like I can put it kind of anywhere, so
Yeah.
I can get the lighting, like I can put my light on the end of that and just like I can
And
lower
move
it,
it around.
I can raise it up, I can, I could really like get it right where I want it. So I think that I mean, I haven't had that for that long, but once I got one, I was like, oh, I need another one for sure. I want to have like on both sides of the subject or something like that. I just saw like how beneficial it was to like my work, so I bought two of them. But they're pretty big. I mean, it's not something that you're gonna necessarily like drive out to some spot on location and take. I mean, you could. It comes with a bag to do it, but they're hefty.
Yeah.
Whereas like let me grab one of the Loom Cube light stands. So this is how the Loom Cube light stand comes. Obviously you can see it's compact, and then you just pop this.
Oh, nice.
You can raise it up, and then the end of it is like on a little like hinge thing, so you can like twist it, you can point it downward or whatever direction you want to go. And then yeah, it's easy to like transport them because they just break down like that. So
yeah, that's dope. That's like a size of an umbrella.
It's not big.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't even know they had that stuff.
Yeah. So, and also if you're out somewhere and someone runs up on you, this thing is metal. It's hefty. You could. This. Yeah, and I guess like another thing that I use in addition, it's another light, but I'll talk about it because I like it a lot. Is this thing here, this light wand. It's pretty big, as you can see. It's got the barn doors on it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And it's remote. It comes with a remote. It's super bright, but it has like, you could do any color you want. It's got the like, different temperatures of lighting on it as well. And then having the barn doors, you can attach this. I can attach this to that C stand. I can attach it to that other light, the Loom Cube light stand.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I really like this thing.
That looks dope.
Yeah, it's like something. It's funny because sometimes it's like a lightsaber. Literally. Yeah, I've been like doing some like work photos before, and literally was doing something like that. I'm like, man, if someone saw what I was doing in here, I look so goofy because I'm like. But yeah, I love this thing.
But that just goes to show you how much fun you're having.
Oh yeah,
doing what you do.
For sure. Yeah, this is something I got relatively. I got it like late last year, so I haven't had this for too long. But I definitely like using it a lot. I use it like on a lot of my photos, and it's super at full blast. This thing's really bright. I also have this thing here, which I can turn this on. We'll turn it, but this is another Loom Cube thing. It comes with a remote, which is obvious. It's super convenient. But yeah.
Oh, nice.
This is like their studio panel. Comes with the barn doors, and like you control the brightness. So like, it's at 25%. It goes all the way down to like 1%, I think. You can change the temperature. So like, if you wanted more of like a warm light, there you go. You got the. Oh, whoops. So that was at 100%. So there you go. You got your white light here. Warm light.
Yeah, that looks bright as hell.
Yeah. So like, it comes like if you buy it, it comes in a set. So you get two of them. It comes with its own like carrying bag, and it comes with its own light stand as well. So yeah, those are super nice to have, just like studio lighting, and you can just plug them in, and they can just, you don't have to worry about the battery dying. I mean, you can take the cord out and stuff like that, like it is wireless, but like,
yeah, but if you wanted just like not somewhere that's not going to really move, you could just leave it plugged in.
Exactly, which is what I do here. Like I just have them plugged in.
Yeah,
I could just leave them on like full, because that's something that I would run into, like if I'm out like outdoors somewhere and I'm shooting with like a light or something. I always kind of, if the light starts to like get low, like if it's the battery's dying, it's like that's always like a thing. There's a lot of unique challenges to shooting outdoors in general, but yeah. In
So,
terms of what's that?
no, I was gonna say, so you're showing off a lot of the lighting. How important to you is lighting when it comes to a shot?
Great question. It's like the most important. I would say if I had to pick two things in like a toy photo that I would say are most important, or let me put it this way: if these two things are lacking in a photo, I'm out. And I would say lighting and in the posing, because I think, and I'll use this guy as an example, as a great example of this. Is do you know who Mr. Lee is on Instagram?
Yes.
Lighting and posing. That's like there's not a lot. There's not always a lot going on. Like he doesn't. It's not like you see a ton of dynamic poses in his photos. It's very subtle, but there's an art to that. Just having a figure look natural in a neutral stance. It's not as easy as you would think.
Yeah.
But when you pair that with like great lighting, which he has, look at the results. And it's like he was one of the guys that kind of really made it so like when you see just like a plain background, it's like he doesn't have crazy dioramas or
Yeah.
any, he has some dioramas, but he's not known to have like all these dioramas. So like he literally uses like a plain background, killer lighting, and like a nice like solid pose, and look at his results. He's a
Yeah.
testament to that. So I always think like even if you don't have anything, if you have great lighting and you have like a nice solid pose, whether that's like a vanilla pose or something super dynamic, it's going to be eye catching. Like you're scrolling down your feed on Instagram, lighting is one of those things that will make you stop. It'll
Yeah.
literally catch your eye. Like you just, oh, what was that? It like something in your brain's like that look interesting. I want to, and then you stop. And you're like, when you start to observe, and then you're like, oh, that's cool. Like I see like things that I don't even care about, like a subject matter that I don't even care about, and the lighting on it is cool, and I'm like, I'll look at it, and I'm like, huh, that's cool. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it's like going for a walk, and it's like early morning or something, and like the sun's like shining through somewhere, and it's like you see something, and you're like, oh, the way that light's hitting that fence right there looks cool, and it's just like it just catches your eye, like you're walking, you're like, oh, what's that? Oh, I mean, and then in my mind, I see that, and I'm like, man, if I had some figures over there, what would I do? That's how my brain works. But
Yeah,
yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, he does great work, man. And I think you're right. Like sometimes it just catches you just because of that, like the lighting, and then like how like the shade is on one side of like the figure, and it just looks so realistic,
mm-hmm,
even though it's a toy. Some
mm-hmm,
of these, especially when it comes to like hot toys,
mm-hmm.
like they just end up looking just real.
Yeah, yeah,
The lighting just makes it pop so much. And
yeah,
I know, sometimes editing and things, but lighting is the major key right there. And like you said, the
yeah,
posing.
yeah. So I think like obviously there's plenty of other things that go into like what makes a good photo, and obviously it's subject to opinion from each person. But since you're asking me, I think that the two most important things that come to mind are lighting and posing, just first and
Yeah.
foremost. And yeah, I think if you can nail those two things, you're off to a great start.
I know that like when you take some images, and we've also seen dial makers make things for you,
Mm-hmm,
right? And I've seen also where there's photos where you don't use dials, and then when you do, right?
mm-hmm,
Like how much do you feel that, not I don't want to say like that you rely on it,
mm-hmm,
but I don't know how to really word it. How do you feel about like using dials compared to maybe just a blank background, like where there's really nothing. I know like sometimes dials make the things, it gives you more like aesthetics to see and things like that, but I know sometimes you can tell in some photos where a photographer might rely too much on that and
Mhm.
props, you know? Like,
Mhm.
where do you stand on something like that?
I think I think that kind of that question is like a real. It really varies from like idea to idea. Like what is it that you want to do? So like just to kind of give insight into like how my thought process kind of goes when like thinking of an idea, it'd be like, okay, what figure is it? And it's like you got the figure right, and then it's like where would they be? Like what would make sense? What? And I feel like it's a curse. It's kind of like a blessing and a curse in a sense of like to ask myself that question because it's hard for me to like do something that doesn't make sense in terms of uh like would this character be in this environment? If I don't imagine it, then it's hard for me to get behind it. But like
Yeah,
so it's like Ninja Turtle sewer, that makes sense, right?
exactly.
Like
But
Spider
not Ninja Turtle in a coffee shop.
yeah, it's like now could that be a cool photo? Absolutely. But in my mind, it's just the way that my mind works. So like I'll think of the character, I'll think of like where would they be? What are they doing? Why are they there? Is there any other interacting characters? What time of day? I know it sounds like a lot. It's like because when I light it, that's what I need to think like is it going to be like nighttime shot, daytime shot,
Yeah,
sunset, blah blah blah. Like, is it gonna be like super dark and moody, like the Last of Us stuff that I've been shooting? It's like that's all pretty moody stuff, you know. And it's like I try to like make it use what I have to like have those scenes make sense to like tie into like there's not much like the characters aren't running, they're not fighting, they're just there. They exist in an environment that I've envisioned to be like this makes sense to what I've seen in like the game, the show, and it's then it's like the vibe of the environment too. It's like the lighting, what's going on like in that environment, like in comparison to them. So man, I it's like I didn't start off like that, by the way. Like this whole thought process thing, like in the beginning of me doing this, it was just like stormtrooper sand boom like like and it was really like effect driven where it was like I want to capture a firework or I want to capture a snowfall, but the story behind that was kind of shallow, whereas now I almost like reverse engineer it to where I'm like everything else comes before that effect, and then I at the end of my like thought process then I'll be like what effect could make sense, if any. Does it need one? But
yeah,
lighting is an effect. Like it could just be the lighting. It doesn't have to be like some kind of like rain or snow or dirt flying or whatever, fog, haze, blah blah blah. Uh, just,
yeah.
just went on a tangent, so I kind of forgot what the first.
No, no, it's still the same thing. Like, cause I know, like sometimes, like you said, I get in my own head, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm trying to set up a shot, and I'm trying, like you said, like you're trying to see like what kind of works, right?
Mhm.
So I'm thinking, oh, like you just said too, like what I've seen on a show or maybe the movie of like let's say a character, right? And like, oh, this character was in a movie. Let me try to remember the movie and maybe a scene and try to recreate that scene in a way, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's like, but then I'm like, should I see like a lot of these guys that do it, and like I'm like, damn, I really like the way this looks. Let me throw in like a trash can and some debris and
Mm.
maybe do this and that. And it's like now it
Yeah.
looks like it's too much. You
So
know, so it's like I'm like, damn, I don't know. Like, am I doing too much? Because now I'm taking away from the actual figure that I'm posing or trying to, like you
mhm.
say, tell a story almost in that one shot. But now I got it so cluttered that it's like now like it's almost like the main focus is not the figure, it's everything in the background, you
Yeah.
know?
Um, and sometimes like that is fine. Like that is still like it's like I have times where like I'll have like a diorama set up and I'll have it lit and I'll start like kind of placing things inside of it. And this is before a figure's even in there.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, I have a hard time figuring like, oh, what should go in here? Like it looks good now, like with nothing.
Yeah,
Like
but just
yeah,
blank.
yeah, just the dio, some props and lighting and whatever. Like it looks, I like the way that looks. And then I'm sitting here and I'll sit here and think like, who can I put in here? And you know what who makes sense? You know, like what's gonna go, what's gonna pair with this scene? Um, and like yeah, you can obviously you can overdo it with props and stuff like that. Like you know, there it can be distracting, but I think like if you ask yourself, if you were to ask yourself like, does this make sense, or am I just placing stuff here because it's like I haven't thought out the story enough to where I'm just trying to fill in the blank. You know, like I mean, and I obviously I do that. You know, it's like I don't I'm not perfect. You know, it's like I make mistakes just like everybody else that does this, and I just try to learn from those mistakes and see what I like and what I don't like. Things, you know, when looking back on my own work, but I think that one thing that's helped me is just like asking, like, does that make sense? Does that make, like, could you imagine that? If you
Yeah.
saw this was someone else's photo and you viewed this and you saw this thing here, what would you think? Try to think like outside of your own mind, you know, like from another
Yeah.
perspective
Yeah.
and be like, yeah, I guess maybe that palette doesn't need to be there, or I don't that fence doesn't need to be there, or like there doesn't need to be rats everywhere here. It's not doesn't need to be that grimy or whatever, you know, like
Yeah.
not that much trash or whatever it may be. Just asking, you know, like, does that make sense? And then, you know, you don't want to get like so hung up on that where you just can't move forward. Like, you know, you want to keep going, but it's just like a good thing to kind of like as a reminder, you know, if you're like, does that make sense? And like sometimes you ask yourself that, and then you realize, oh, this doesn't, but actually this would. So along, you know, just in your own thoughts,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
happened.
That's definitely the thing. It's like in your own thoughts, it
Mhm.
could like make or break the shot itself when you overthink too many things.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And
it's
I get that a lot.
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
balance, man. It's like it's yeah. But not to be corny, the most important thing through all of it is that you're enjoying it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
want people to like listen to this and get discouraged by what I'm anything that I'm saying. Like I think at the end, first and foremost, like have fun and just that is literally my advice to what anytime anyone has ever asked me, what do you have advice for, what advice do you have for someone that's starting out? That's it. Have fun. Like literally like just focus on having fun. I know
Yeah.
it's so basic and maybe not what they want to hear. Maybe they want some more like insightful answer, technical answer. But really it starts with that. Because if you're not having fun, then why do it?
Yeah.
And like
Exactly.
when I'm doing when all those things I just talked about are like, does this make sense? All these like questions. It's like I'm still having fun because I'm still like filling out the story in my head, and that's fun to me to create this story and then obviously take the photo and then share it. That's all fun. And to kind of like segue into like what happens after that, which is like you finish the photo and all that, and then you're gonna post it. I personally like believe like 100% for me. I'm being honest. Like that's the best part has already happened for me once I post it on social media. Like what happens from there, obviously that's not in my hands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know like a lot of people like everyone, you know, is human. It's like something, you know, I get like annoyed by engagement and like or lack of engagement on social media and likes and comments and blah blah blah. But like I swear, you hook me up to a lie detector test. It's all good. Like I already did the thing that makes me the most happy. The rest is like a bonus if it happens, but it's not. That's what it is. A bonus. It's not a guarantee. Like it's
Yeah.
not a guarantee that I share a photo that you know I love or I love had a great time creating that it's going to get some big response, but that's okay. because I did it for me.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
And
So
that's some great advice right there too, because a lot of times, you like you said, people always say, "Oh, you should do it for fun." And of course, for the most part, I hope people are doing it for fun. But then it comes to that second stage of that said photos, like you said, when you post it, that's out of your hands,
mhm,
right? But at the same time, it's like, yeah, I'm doing it for fun, but I really love the way this photo came out.
mhm.
Man, I want to share it so bad, right? So you post it up and it's like, damn, only like 20 people liked it. Like I thought it was way better. And then sometimes that kind of is discouraging to the person that posted it. But it's like I say sometimes it literally just takes that one post. Maybe that one wasn't it. And
Mhm,
maybe you really love that picture.
mhm.
But then maybe the next one you post, you just thought it was okay. And
Yeah,
somehow that gets like 200 likes.
yeah,
It's like you don't control it.
can't.
You don't control that part of the game, I guess.
Yeah, and I think if you can really get behind the idea of like knowing that it's out of your control, and then just kind of like keep it moving, and like just like what is the most fun to me, realizing what that is, and then doing that, enjoying that. Like it is discouraging, like to work hard on something and then you post it and then it kind of seems like it just gets passed over. And I definitely, it's not like the things that I say now when I'm saying like I don't care about the likes and stuff. It's like I didn't start off like that. It's like it's been a long road to get to where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
But I can speak from both sides of it now, where it's like once I cared a lot. I cared too much, I believe. Like I cared what like how many likes I got, and like wondered why another photo got more likes than mine. And it's just like you get real like I had to check my own ego at a certain point and be like, dude, like it's really not about likes, and it's not. It's like you know f my ego basically. It's like because again going back, broken record, most important thing to me was to have fun with like the toys and the photography. That was the thing that remained, but I forgot that along the way because I got caught up in the social media like vortex and just being like, oh, I need to, if I want to get a collab, then like I should have good numbers. It's like, man, these days, like I don't care about a collab. You know what I care about? The next photo. I want to like my next photo. I want to have fun doing my next photo. That's literally what all I care about. And like once I like came to that realization and then like was like, oh yeah, that's true, and like fully backed that thought, I was free. The rest was just like it was just like poof, it was gone. All the like expectations of like social media and what other people thought, I could care less. And that's why recently I posted that thing. I literally thought it was funny. It's so, like the engagement was pathetic, to be honest. It's like it's really funny that like it had like 59 likes in like a couple days, and like I know some people listen to this and like, man, 59 would be great. It's like it's relative. I'm just looking at like, okay, I have X amount of followers, and I
Yeah,
posted
yeah.
2 days ago.
It it doesn't like add up.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't add up, and I know obviously a lot of people are experiencing that, so they'll understand. It's all relative. Like if you have 1,000 followers and you were to post a photo and you got 3 likes,
Yeah.
you're like, dude, what the? And I'm just like, honestly, I'm happy that I'm in a place to where like I can laugh at that, because if this was like years and years ago, that would really bother me. I'd be like, man, what the hell's I'd be like, what's going on with Instagram? Like I can't like, man, like, did anyone, did anybody see my photo? Like, is it not, start questioning, start
Yeah.
questioning, like, and then you question yourself. It's like, man, you don't want to start doing that. You
Yeah. Yeah.
start
Yeah.
putting
Yeah.
your confidence and like your abilities and stuff, and it's like, stop having fun because
Yeah.
you're so
Yeah,
like,
definitely. It's like if I post this up and take me out of the equation, would I like this photo? Yes. That's
yeah,
all that matters. That's all that one like, your own like, is the one that should matter at the end of the day.
yeah. It and it is like again like what happens after that. Like when you post it on social media, like if someone likes it or comments, like that's great too. I'm not saying it's not great. It is great. It's nice. It feels good to know that the work that you put in is like, seen by someone else and like they enjoyed it, and that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like I do love that too. But I guess I'm at a place where like I realize that that's just that's not a given. I can't have no control over that stuff. I
Yeah,
just
exactly. That, like you said, it's out of your hands at that point. Like,
Mhm.
let take the wheel, Jesus.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But going back to like the cameras and stuff, we touched upon it a little bit, but what settings on the camera to you maybe are like important? Like maybe something, like you said before, you were talking about ISO. What about maybe like, was that something that you've noticed that you're focused on more, or is it like the all the other stuff, like to you, if there is one?
Mhm. Uh, yeah. I mean, it varies from every photo because every photo is gonna be different, and so it just depends on the idea. It's like I adjust accordingly to each idea that I have, and generally they are different. They're just because the photos are it's different stories that are happening, and it calls for different settings. But like I guess to kind of like give more of a general answer, of like settings. Like I would say like just as like you know a guide in the sense to like capturing practical effects. Like there is sort of like more of a formula there to capture that kind of stuff like where if you want to do a photo like uh with like dirt and debris like exploding or whatever, like flying and stuff like that, like you're going to want to have a fast shutter speed to be able to capture, to freeze those particles in the frame, right? Because if it's not fast, so what would happen is like if you didn't have a fast enough shutter speed, it's just going to look like lines. There's going to be so much more motion in it, and it's
Mhm.
not, and that might be what you're going for. Just saying, it might be what you're going for, but in this, I'm just saying like you want to freeze those part of the dirt, debris, and all that kind of stuff. So your shutter speed, you don't have a fast shutter speed to capture that stuff. So that's
and
one
and
thing.
i and I noticed that, like, before you done, not only do you do indoor shots, but you also done outdoor shots.
Yeah,
Like, how much of a difference is it between, both of those atmospheres when you're doing a shot?
yeah. There's different challenges to doing to for both. I think like the one thing about like shooting indoors is you have control over your lighting. Like you can you know dim the lights more. You can kick them up so they're brighter if you need to, and you always have that control. Whereas like outdoors, you're just at the mercy of like the sun. So then it's just like you use that as a base of your base light, and then you just adjust accordingly. And it can be challenging in the sense of like if you're shooting in an area where there's a lot of shadows and the sun is moving, then you got to keep adjusting. So like I used to shoot in this forest a lot, and I would like to go around sunset because of the like golden light that would come through. But I would have to keep moving because as the sun moved, the light would move.
Yeah. So
And
you're
so
like following it.
like I would have to adjust my camera quickly too, just because the way the light was changing and stuff like that. And I feel like that actually really helped me kind of get an understanding of the camera and getting comfortable with adjusting on the fly. So when I started to shoot indoors, it's like I already had an understanding of lighting and like how to adjust to to get the look that I wanted. And then obviously trial and error as time went on with indoor lighting and stuff like that. And I have more of an idea now what I want to, like I basically have an idea of like I want to make it look like this. Nowadays I'm pretty confident that I could do that. Like yeah, I don't know why. I just have this like belief in myself. I'm like, I want to make it look like 1990 TMNT movie, and I want it to look gritty and hazy, and I want it to be like heavy shadows, and like I know I could do that. Like I have this weird like self belief that I'm like I can make it look how I want to look when I want
Yeah.
to, and like that's like a little bit of I mean, I've worked hard to get to that point, to just playing around, lots of hours of trial and error, and like trying different lighting techniques and things like that. And like one thing that I always was like really fascinated by was like light peeking through things, like light rays.
Yeah, yeah.
And like it's almost like when you're outside, you see those in natural, like you see them in forests, like the sun's coming through and you see like the beams coming through. And I always thought that
Yeah.
was cool. And I'm like, it'd be really cool if I could incorporate that into a photo somehow. And over time, like I started to be able to capture them sometimes outside. It's a little bit it might be a little bit easier outside in a sense, just because the sun is so bright, and it kind of shows you where the direction of light's coming from. So you just like, oh, let me go here, put the figure there, and then spray some atmosphere aerosol. Now you got the rays coming in. But to do it indoors, to create that indoors was a lot harder. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely at a place now where I can kind of make it happen wherever, and I'm like super stoked about that, super happy about that, because I'm like, if I want to put a beam of light or a ray of light coming from what direction I want, I can do that now. And
And
that's
that's just practicing your craft, not even perfecting it. At the end, it is perfecting it, but it's mainly practicing,
yeah,
trial and error, like you said earlier.
yeah. And I have an obsessive personality, so like when I get on something, it's like I'm like just focused. Like I want to figure this out, and that's like I could say that about every single kind of effect that I've learned through doing this toy photography stuff. It's like I was obsessed with sand, dirt, debris, rain, snow, blood, fireworks, and then lighting. I count lighting is like probably the most important effect, honestly. Lighting, and then techniques within lighting as well. Like I just can't get enough of it.
I hope you guys are enjoying the episode so far. I'm going to keep looking at this book of his toy photography. Why don't you guys check out some shots from when he started to where he's at now? Take a look at these.
Dude, that Dario, man, that fucking Tony Hawk skate park.
Oh yeah, that thing's nuts, man.
I saw that and I was like, wow. And then when I saw it was you getting it, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And then like those first couple of shots, bro, I was like, oh, this shit is sick. And then the sewer Dario when you did the Super 7 turtles and shit.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
Sick, dude. That was fuck.
Yeah. One thing that I'm fortunate enough to have all these dios, like don't get me wrong, like definitely put the money in, put the money in, but having so many of them, it enables me to like piece them together when it makes sense to add depth. So like
Yeah.
I'll use multiple dios in a shot to like piece together like the story, and it's like world building, and it's like that's super fun to me to just like see like, oh, what could I, it's like you have something set up and you're like, what could I put in the foreground, what could like lead you into the focus here, and then what can be behind there, and it's just fun to like look through my like archive of dials and be like, what would be best for this idea. It's definitely super fun.
Yeah, it's cool, man. So you do a lot of shooting, and for those that don't know, you work for Super 7, you're the photographer with that, so obviously you're shooting a lot of their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But what's a figure that maybe you've had and kind of were excited to get, let's say, and when you went to go do a photo with it, it just didn't photograph well, or maybe the idea in your head just didn't, you know, really work out the way you wanted it to, where you're like, damn, I was really excited for this and it's just I can't get it.
Hmm.
Like, does one come to mind?
A lot come to mind. I think like I because I collect a lot of stuff, and the only time I know when basically like I know when it's time to shoot it because I'll have like this jolt of inspiration of like that's the idea that I was waiting for. And I'm pretty patient when it comes to that. Like if I get a new figure in, I'm not if I have the idea right away, sure, I'll do it right away. But if I don't, I'll sit on it for years. Like there's some stuff I've never shot that I've had that it's just like I'll wait. Like when the right idea comes, it'll be worth setting it up and putting in the work to get the idea done. Um, and it's like sometimes it's like I can't expedite that process either. I can't just force it because I won't like it.
Yeah.
It's not natural to me. It's not my process, so it just feels foreign. It's like I know at the end of it, I'm just not going to be as happy about it as I would if I'm like just naturally like, oh, that seems like a good idea. Let's go. And then like setting it up and then like having fun. It's like the whole time, like if I'm just kind of forcing it, I feel like I'll start to kind of second guess it and be like, should I just wait should I just wait? Like, is this cool? Like, am I gonna think like, is this worth all the effort right now? Like, because I feel like I just know myself. Like, other times it's like I'm never having those questions during it. It's just like, oh yeah, this is the direction we're going, and it's clear. Whereas if I
Yeah.
like push it, it's like it becomes unclear, and I'm like, is this cool? Like, is this character even the one I want to shoot? Like, so I mean, one like a specific character, like figure rather. Um, I got that Cyborg Superman, and it's super dope. It looks so cool to me, and I want to shoot it, but I haven't. And yeah, just what I said. It's like when the idea comes, it'll like I'll know. I'll just be like, yeah, that's the idea that I want to go with, and I'll set it up. But until then, he'll be on my desk, and I'll just look at him and be like, yeah, it's a cool figure.
Yeah, like sometimes I feel like, like let's say with that figure, it's like when it starts shipping and people are getting it, that's all you see for like that week, you know?
Yeah,
And some shots are awesome, but then there's other shots and it's like you shouldn't feel that you need to shoot whatever's new, you
yeah,
know? Like for instance, I got that Figure Arts Buzz Lightyear and I really was messing with it, like and
mhm,
you know me, I get stuff. It's like, yeah, oh, this is awesome, and then put it away.
mhm,
Yeah. So, but
yeah,
with this one, I had it right next to me for like about a month, and then I was like, man, I really want to shoot this, but like you said, no ideas. And then I ended up getting a Dio from 78 points of articulation, that like that cyberpunk type of style Dio.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, you know what? I know Buzz doesn't do these type of scenes because it's like a kiddie thing, but set him up with some like a synthetic humans. Maybe he's fighting off something like that. In that
yeah,
setting where it looks almost alienish because of the
yeah,
Dio, I was like, oh, that now it'll work. And it's like then it's the juices start flowing and everything. And it's like you said, it wasn't the time.
yeah,
But I was like, man, if I don't get this shot out now, no one's gonna like it because it's gonna be old by the time I shoot it. And it's like, nah, man, like don't even worry about that, you know?
yeah. It's funny
But
you mentioned that figure because that is one that I would say is like I got it. I thought it's awesome. I still haven't. I've actually taken photos of it, but nothing ever made, and I haven't posted anything. And I think that figure is great. And I just every time I have something set up, it just something's not clicking.
yeah,
And so there'll come a time where there is though. It's
yeah.
fine. I'm not
Shout
in.
out to Supreme Collector Brandon, man. He hooked it up because I missed out on the pre-orders, and then my man got a second batch, and yep,
Yeah,
I need one.
yeah, yeah. It's crazy that figure because it did sell out pretty quickly. It's like, oh dang,
Yeah,
a lot of people wanted that. Yeah, it's a great figure.
But what's a figure that maybe you love to shoot that you like? You see yourself maybe a couple times going back to it and shooting it again and again.
Yeah, a few come to mind. I mean, definitely as a whole, I would just say turtles. You know, like that's always going to be something that I'm coming back to. Is like where I started off. It's like how I started off doing toy photography. So it's like, and I'm just such a big Ninja Turtle fan, anyways. So the Ninja Turtles. I mean, and I'm talking about like different kinds. Like you got NECA, Super Seven, and now you get some of these third party companies like what's that, like Fury?
Yeah, Fury.
Yeah,
They got the little spring, the Leo, and now they just put up the
Donnie.
Autumn Donatello.
That's the one that because that's my favorite turtle. So that's
Did you see the latest update that they had like a fan vote of how tall you want it to be compared to Leo?
yeah,
And they
yeah.
went with a little taller size.
Well, at first like, they wanted to change the size completely, right?
Mhm.
Because people were like, "Oh, it's too small," and they wanted to just kind of like size up the figure in general. But I'm glad that that's not happening because then they wouldn't, they wouldn't look good. It'd be
Yeah,
like,
nah.
look at this
So
tiny.
like the Leos, it looks small, but then Donnie's like about an inch taller, and it looks like it fits. Like it's cool that they're all gonna be different sizes altogether, as they should. Like it's almost like their own personality now, even more
Mhm.
with the different sizes and stuff like that. But those, yeah, turtles is always the thing, and it's what a great time to be a turtle fan, right? Like
Oh yeah, for sure.
everybody's doing it, and
Yeah,
all types, not
yeah,
just they're all the same. No, it's all styles from Super Seven to NECA with the
yeah,
cartoon and movie. Super Seven's doing the like a re-imaging of the classic stuff, which is awesome. Then you
yeah.
got the third party stuff, and it's
Yeah.
just it's so crazy that you got the tech ones, that third party stuff, like look robotic and everything.
Like the
It's awesome,
mech.
man.
Yeah, yeah. Um. So yeah, like turtles, and then I'll say Popeye is another one that like I got that figure when they Mezco first released their first Popeye. Thought it was really cool. That's a figure that I'll always come back to. Like I don't shoot it a ton these days, but it's one that I always like shooting. And then another one I would say, which was kind of unexpected, was Vapor, Mezco Vapor.
Hmm.
When that figure went up for pre-order, I was like, nah, I didn't even pre-order it. But after getting it in hand, I was like, this thing is cool. It's definitely. And then like over time, I'm like, man, I'm having a lot of fun taking photos of this one. Like, more than like any other Rumble Society character or figure. So I really like that one. Yeah.
I just had it like next to me for like about a week or so, and I just put them back because I ended up buying that Elliot and ET just for the bike, for the BMX bike.
Mm.
And I was so happy that it's pegs on the pedals and the handles. You could just pop off the hands, and I put Vapor right on there,
Does it
and
fit?
it looks so nice.
Huh.
Like it looks way better. Like when you stand on next to a bike, you got one foot on the pedal, the other foot on the
Oh
floor.
yeah. Yeah.
It's perfect. It's the
Yeah.
sizing is great compared to the ones that are like that skateboard company that makes,
Oh
because
yeah.
those are smaller.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah. Yeah.
this is an expensive accessory that I bought right here just for this.
Yeah. I seen that at Target before that set.
Yeah, but it's dope. I really like that figure. Between them and the pink skulls, I don't know which one's my favorite.
Yeah. Pink skulls are cool too.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I would say like those turtles, Popeye, Vapor, and then last but not least, Iron Giant. That's
Yeah.
one that I've shot for years. It always have fun taking photos of that, playing with scale and stuff like that, and just a fun character that has a lot of personality. You,
You got me with that, because when I started seeing your shots with him, I was like, man, I want this figure. And it was sold out when I saw that, but then luckily they did 1,000 Toys put them out again. I copped that one, and I copped that Diamond Select one, and
Mhm.
I was just like, yeah, I'm straight. I just love the way it looks. I'm glad they got it again, and
Yeah,
that's a great figure.
yeah. The design of the Iron Giant, he's a cool looking robot.
Yeah.
So yeah,
like with all with all the shots that you've done, do you have any like any favorite ones that you hold up like, up high? Like, man, I really dig this shot. I love it. I love the way it came out and everything.
Uh, yeah, yeah, for sure. I actually actually have a couple of them pinned on my IG. There's one of Leo. It's like the quarter scale Leo, and he's like walking through like tall. It'll be at the top of my page. Uh, he's like walking through grass. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, that's the quarter scale, Leo, right?
Yeah. It's funny, like that photo. Yeah, I was like leaving that spot, and I had that, and I just looked over in the grass right there, and I was like, I like the way the light's coming through there. Set him down. It was quick. Set him down. Put his hand behind, like grabbing a sword, and took it. And that was the result. And it's like to this day, that's it is one of my probably my favorite shots. And it's like I know a lot of people really like that one.
Yeah, I love this. I love this.
Yeah, so that one for sure. And then the one that's like right next to it is a Nosferatu. And kind of like going back to what I said earlier about like creating like light rays, beams of light. Like this is an example of that. Like being able to kind of create that atmosphere, that light coming through, and there's just like something that just came out. That I liked it a lot, and so that's why it's been. I have I do enjoy as as someone like an artist, like you're worst critic generally. So like I look at things, I'm like, oh, I could have done this, or maybe I could do it better now, blah blah blah. But there are a handful of photos that I think kind of, for me, in my opinion, stand the test of time for me. And
Yeah.
that Leo is a great example because that one's like pretty old, that Leo photo. And yeah, that Shore Trooper one too is another one. That third one in that row there, it's pretty old. It's pretty old, but yeah, again, it's just a simple idea. Not a ton went into it. It's just like I set them there in the sand, and
Yeah, and that's outdoors in the beach, right?
yep, yep, and yeah, I just like the way it looks.
Yeah, and it's so dope. Again, like you said, like the whole aesthetics of things and like the background and all that. Like you're at the beach, so you see the mountainside and the water, and it's a shore trooper. So you're like, yeah, I can see that happening.
Hmm.
Like in a movie or whatever the case may be. Like it fits. The setting fits.
Hmm.
It's not like
Yeah,
you got them like in the like in the alleyway or something. It's like, oh, why the hell would he be there?
yeah, that's exactly what I would say to myself too. I'd be like, why is that there? Yeah, yeah, those are some that come to mind though. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like, you know, with all the shots that you do, and obviously working for Super 7 and not trying to get into any of that stuff, but are you like currently working on a shot that you might want to share? Like not like I said, not Super 7 stuff, but like maybe something personal.
Uh, I mean, I just finished. Well, I didn't finish. I have to edit it. I just did a shot with that new Conan that Mezco dropped.
Oh, okay. The
Uh,
second release, right? There's the new one that just came out.
yeah, that second release one. So yeah, I've been wanting to shoot it, but then when I got mine, it had all kinds of issues, like you've probably been hearing.
Yeah,
Uh,
the bicep swivel is stuck.
the elbow was all weird too. Like the elbow wasn't sitting into the socket all the way. So like when I moved it, it seemed like rubbery and like fragile. Like if I was to just go like this, like I felt like it might just like and just break or something.
Yeah,
Whereas it was a big difference from the other elbow. It was like this one was tight, felt sturdy. This one was like weak. It felt weak, and it just like drove me crazy. So I sent it over to Bill Maru, the toy mechanic. Shout out to Billy,
that's awesome. Baby.
and he fixed it. He adjusted it, and it was funny because he was like, man, this thing is like, because he got one too, but he was like, yeah, this thing's got a lot of issues, man. And I was like, that's what I've been hearing. I was like, good thing I sent it to you.
Yeah, I saw him post up on IG and things like that, like him fixing it and things he does and stuff. So shout out to him. He's always fixing up like other people's problems.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a returning customer for sure and an advocate for big advocate for his services. I mean, I think it's really cool what he does and unique in that he's like a specialist in fixing these action figures. And I'm like high end, low, like more
Yeah.
like, I want to say low end, but like from whatever.
Yeah, from Legends to Mezco to even third party stuff that's hundreds of dollars over.
Yep.
Mayfex and things like that. He's doing it all. He did the thigh swivel on that Spring Leo.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
I feel like I told him one time that like I was like, oh, I feel like I can like rest easier knowing that you are out there, that you provide this service, because like before like knowing about him and what he did, it's like when I would break something, it was kind of like that was it for that. It's like either I was gonna get another one or just like that's it. It's broken. And now if something breaks, I'm like, and say it's like something I can't get again, it's like there's hope. It's like he could fix it. It's like this figure here I got here from Damn Toys Iron Tone. His name's like Ironhead Tony, but like I broke one of his wrist pegs, and I was all bummed out because like his figure is like pretty rare now and pricey, and I sent it to him and he fixed it, so it's all good now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I hit him up. It's like one of my favorite figures. It broke, but hit Billy up. He fixed it. So yeah, big shout out to him. If you have a figure that needs to be fixed and stuff like that, he's your guy. Bill Maru. What is his? I'll figure it out.
I'll make sure to add all his info there.
I didn't want to be rude and get on my phone and.
Nah, it's all good. I'll make sure, like I'll put his info there because he's a great, like you said, man. I'm glad there's someone like him out there, because if I ever have a figure that I'm like, damn, I can't even fix this, but he's out there, and he's not like one of those guys where it's like, oh, I'm keeping my secrets to myself. He's literally going on YouTube, on IG Live, and showing you exactly what he's doing,
Yeah.
But I would never do it on my own, even though he's telling me step by step, like, you know what, I'd rather pay you to do it, my man.
Or send to the master.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
But lastly, man, what advice would you give someone that wants to start taking up this hobby?
Yeah, to circle back to the whole thing about, as I said earlier, it's like just have fun, enjoy the process of learning things, and don't try not to be so hard on yourself to where you're not having fun. It's fine to be yourself, but like if you're hard on yourself, but try not to do it to the extent of like where you don't want to do it. Like it should be something that you want to do. It should be something you can enjoy doing with your collection, and kind of give your collection and your figures another life, in a sense of just being on a shelf or in a bag or in a bin or whatever it is. It's like those when you're a kid and you're just in your room and you're playing with your toys and you're creating these storylines in your head of like who's doing what and stuff like that. That never left my mind, and I always had that, and toy photography gave me the outlet to basically express that in like an artistic way. So it was just like like the perfect thing for me to do, because I've always been a fan of toys, and like I've always had the thought of like, man, when I really like a character, one of the first things I think of is like, I want to get like a figure of that, because I just love action figures. So like to be able to do that and have like an action figure of like your favorite character from this or that is awesome, and then to be able to create something with that is equally awesome. And so yeah, to circle back, it's like have fun. Don't be, and also like don't be afraid to ask questions either. Like don't 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 be hesitant to hit people up just because they seem unreachable or something like that. Like I think I think some people don't hit me up sometimes just because I think they think that I'm not gonna see it or whatever. And it's like I do my best, to respond. But it's like I don't mind sharing and helping either. So and there's so many cool people within the toy community, and it's just like yeah, just use that as like a network, and everyone's here to create, photos and have fun. Yeah, everyone likes to talk about it. That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
It's always like a cool conversation to just sit down and talk about something that you're just super into. So
Yeah, man, that's great advice, man. Johnny, it was a pleasure having you on, man. I again thank you for your time. Thank you for all the knowledge that you dropped today.
yeah, thanks for having me on.
Anytime, man. Anytime.
I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. I always have a great time talking to Johnny about his toy photography. I'm such a fan, and one day I hope to be just as good as him and any one of the other guests I've had on. We've reached the halfway point of the season, and I just want to thank everyone that tunes in every other Monday or catches the replay, leaves a comment, hits the like, or messages me on Instagram and saying how much they enjoy the show. The point of this was for me to just get better myself and, in hopes that maybe someone out there also picks up some tips and gets better themselves. I can't wait for you guys to see the next 4 guests that I have coming up. The lineup is great guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the season. So, thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time.